Hi guys, Peter Shankman here. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that a few of you are having problems with the audio. If the audio is not connecting, you could try again. Just click on, you should be able to click on connect the audio and see if that works. It is working for a lot of people. If it's not, you can dial in. And I'll tell you how to do that. It actually is in your email and in your sign up. And also when you clicked on the Cisco event. So it's working. Okay, good. It's working for a lot of you. I'm getting that. I'm going to type it in here. If it's not, you can dial in at 877-688. I'm sorry, 668-4488. And let's see, the event number is here. That's the event number, and just click pound when it asks for your user ID. So I'll give it one more minute. Give it one more minute, then we will begin. I want to thank, we have, God, several hundred people have signed up. This is amazing. Several hundred people are live and listening to this right now. It's just awesome. It's just, I don't know how to begin to describe that. That's very, very cool. I'll give people 2 more seconds to log in. And again, if you, okay, there we go. If the audio conference, if the conference is not, I'm just going to copy this and paste this one more time. If it's not working, you can dial in. Here is the number to dial in. And a couple people are saying WebEx never started. It's strange. The password, or the meeting number rather for you guys is 385. Yeah, I'm posting it here, 385-377-227. So that's if you can't get in. Okay, now it seems like a lot of people are getting in. That's great. Worst case scenario, you can always log out and log back in. But we have about 412 people on. The message has been sent into the Q&A and the chat. I'm going to send it into the Q&A as well, just so we have it, and then we're going to start. If you can't get through last post via WebEx for audio, dial into this number. And that is, one more time, 877-668-4488. Okay, I know that you guys can hear me. And we should be able to go now. Okay. So let's kick it off. I'm sending the meeting number one more time for the last few people who couldn't find it. And if you want to post this in the Q&As, you can. Okay, let's do it. So, guys, thank you so much. Welcome. My name is Peter Shankman. We are in. This is great. We're excited. It's 1:05. We're going to start. This is the ADHD Superpower Webinar. Now, it's hysterical that you're on this webinar dealing with me because obviously I'm at the point where I have 15 things to do for this thing, right? I'm watching everyone come in. I'm making sure that people have sound, things like that. And then, by the way, I'm also supposed to run a webinar. So the ADD is high with this one right now. When I say ADD or ADHD, I use those terms interchangeably. For me, they pretty much are. For some of you, they might not be. But that being said, we're going to kick it off, and so I want to see. I know that there is sound. I know that some of you can hear me, and see what. So we'll go from there. I think that more people are coming in as more people. If worse comes to worse, if for whatever reason you can't hear it, and I'm going to post this in the chat, and then we'll start. If you guys can't hear me for whatever reason, I'm going to recommend that you log. So here, if you can't hear me, log out and log back in That seems to be fixing it for the few who can't get in. Okay, so let's kick this off. We have, God, over 500 people are here. That's amazing. This will be recorded. There will be, so you will be able to play this back, and I'm thrilled that you guys are here. So let's kick it off. Let's understand something about ADHD. And I want to make sure the screen changed. This is the first thing you need to know about ADHD. I am not a doctor. Okay, I have never been a doctor. I have no plans to go to medical school. I do marketing. I do PR. I give keynotes on customer service and things like that. So my world is ADHD from the respect of how I learned about it and what I can do to make it better for my life. So understanding that I'm not a doctor, if you do have medical questions, I'm not the one to answer them. I recommend you talk to a doctor. There is no harm in that. The beauty of ADD is that, like any issue with you, it's nothing to be embarrassed about, and it's perfectly cool to talk about it. So understanding that I'm not a doctor, let's move forward. The next slide is a quote from a man named Dr. Edward Halliwell, and I discovered the quote probably 7 or 8 years ago, maybe a little longer. It radically changed my life as to how I think about my condition, about what I have. This slide, these words, they changed my life. It was the second I read this, I was given this book by an ex-girlfriend, someone I dated, and we broke up. And there was a lot of the reason she said was I was never there, I never focused, and it was never truly around. And she sent me this book, and she said, just read it, maybe it'll help you in the future. And the very first page had this quote. And if you have ADHD, and if you felt like this, you're not alone. Read that quote and tweet me. The hashtag is ADHD Superpower. Tweet me if you know you're not alone, if you believe that this quote actually matters. Because this quote, when I read it, Dr. Halliwell's quote, for the first time, it changed my life. It made me realize, I always knew I had something. This was the moment when I realized, hey, this can work to my advantage. So let's move forward a little bit. Next slide. There we go. So what's going to happen in the next 60 minutes? We're going to talk about who I am and why you're listening to me. We're going to talk about the rules. The rules are key for me. I subscribe to a series of rules, and I live and die by these rules. I cannot live my life without them. If I don't have these rules, I don't exist. Bad things happen, I think is the best way to put it. Bad things happen. So for me, rules are important. My strategies, we're going to talk about my strategies, my professional strategies, things that get me through work, and then, as important, things that get me through my personal life. Finally, which I know a lot of you came from, the tools. The things I use on a regular basis to get through day to day and sort of understand that I'm alive and well. Seems like it seems like I'm not the only person on the actual call. It seems like someone else has access. You're not on the phone, are you? No, it seems like someone else has access to the call. Actually, I hear an echo now, so I'm going to try to get rid of that. Bear with me for a second. And it was me. No, actually, it wasn't me. Hang on, I don't know if it was me yet. But I want to make sure that no one else is on the call. No, yeah, it was me. It is literally, that's how special I am. I called in on a backup phone to make sure that I wouldn't lose my call, and I was repeating myself in the phone. So yes, I am incredibly pretty. All right, so part 4, my strategy is professional, and then my fifth strategy, part 5 is my tools. These are the things I use on a regular basis to survive. And then part 6, final thoughts and contact. So with that, let's start. Part 1, the intro. So what do I believe ADHD is? And I think everyone has a little different description. Chemically, physiologically, I know what it is. I've been told what it is. It's the body doesn't produce enough dopamine, doesn't produce enough serotonin, adrenaline, and these are the things that keep you focused and grounded. There are also things that save your life when you have, a bear's chasing you or a lion, or when I'm skydiving, the adrenaline kicks in and tells me what to do and tells me how to handle the things I've learned and do them the right way. But adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin are also very important. They're regulators. They're very important when you are sitting in front of your computer and trying to do something boring. Okay, your body produces a little more of these drugs so that you can, or a little more of these chemicals so that you can focus. I believe people with ADHD don't necessarily have that ability to produce that all the time on their own. They need a little help. What do I believe ADHD not to be? ADHD, and this drives me crazy, it's not, oh, I lost my keys, can't find my keys, I must have ADD. Or, you know, yeah, I wasn't listening, you know, sorry, it's my ADD. No, it's not. You're just not listening, and, you know, you're a douche. So you want to, if people blame, okay, who just laughed? Because someone is definitely, and it's okay, I won't yell at you, but who just laughed? Because I want to make sure that you're muted just so you can keep laughing.
I'll mute, thank you.
Okay. That was my, that's so funny. I don't know how anyone was able to mute, but cool. All right. So, yeah, everyone should be muted. That's very strange. I'm not sure how to mute everyone automatically, but I'll find out. So, long story short, I don't believe ADHD to be I lost my keys, or there we go, mute all. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, now I'm the only one who can talk. Good. That's what I wanted. Sorry about that, guys. So, ADHD is not, oh, I lost my keys. ADHD is not, oh, I'm having an issue here or there. It's specific. It lives in your life, and you know what it is on a regular basis. And these are things I wish I'd known when I was 10 years old, because when I was 10 years old, I had a very hard time understanding this. And I live my life in such a way that I don't understand why people keep showing. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm going to fix this problem, but I'm not sure why people keep. All right, bear with me, guys. I'm going to try to fix this right away. Someone's still on the call, and we're gonna fix this. Hang on one second. Okay, let's see what I could do here. It should be, I should be able to click mute all and everyone gets muted. So I think we're okay now. Mute all, I should be the only person who has host privileges or anything like that. Okay, good. So with that said, yeah, okay. Use computer, good. All right, so there are two ways to deal with ADHD. This has been proven for people in the world. Doctors have talked about this. They call it T positive and T negative. T positive, things I do, hacks, tricks, medication perhaps, things that are beneficial to you, things that help you in your life. T negative are things that might help you in the short term but are actually very detrimental, or things that might make you feel good but are very detrimental. Illegal drugs, crime, things of that nature, things that people do sometimes because they're looking for something and they're missing a high or they're missing whatever they can't get, and they turn to negative things. And it's funny because those are the things that we don't always associate with ADHD. We don't say, oh, this might be because of that. No, we just, oh, he's a criminal. I'm not going to discuss T negative, okay? If you're on this call, then you already obviously want to help yourself and you want to do great things, and so you're a T positive to begin with. I do want to talk a little bit about medication, and this is part of the thing where I get honest. So I have always been a big proponent of you know, doing things to self-medicate, so things that allow your brain to create the dopamine and the chemistry you need in your brain. But you know what? Several years ago, I learned that sometimes is not enough. Now, I still believe that we over-medicate our kids, and the second they show any sort of difference in the world, we throw them on Adderall or Ritalin, and we say, you know, just sit there and be like everyone else, and I think that's wrong. But I have changed my opinion in the past 5 years, and I believe that on occasion, there is a place in the world for medication for ADHD. I have a prescription for something called Concerta. Concerta is a long-acting ADHD medication. You can look it up. It's like the word concert with an A. And I take it as needed. I don't take it every day. More often than not, I do not take it. I don't take it when I go on stage to give speeches. I don't take it when I'm doing anything that I already get my energy from. I do take it when I have to sit down and focus on doing expense reports, or if I know that today's going to be a day in the office where I'm doing things that, for me, were things I'm not excited about. And I'm honest about that. I will admit that on situations like that, I take it because it benefits me, it helps me get through where I am. Now, that being said, you know, I'm not going to talk about meds, but I will certainly tell you, I'll be honest and tell you guys what I do. Now, there are things I think are very similar to ADHD, and I'll explore this a little more in depth, but, you know, we are a special breed. The brain is an incredible organ, and we've not even scratched the surface of what it can do. And there have been studies, and there are still studies, that talk about how ADHD is very similar to addiction. Very similar. There's some borderline personality disorder discussions about ADHD. I know personally that for me, ADHD is very similar to addiction. And because of that, I take steps to prevent that. I am going to share a little bit more of that. So let's move on to the next slide. The basics are funny about this because, you know, ADHD is in your head. It is, you know, something in your brain, but it's not in your head. Okay, you wouldn't look at someone who has cancer and say, oh, come on, just get over it, you'll be fine. But, you know, for those of us who have grown up with this, especially me, I'm in my 40s, and before I knew what this was, before anyone knew what this was, it was you need to sit down, you need to focus in class, you need to pay better attention. I cannot tell you how many days I came home with notes from my teachers that said I failed to pay attention or I was disruptive in class. Shoot me a tweet with the hashtag ADHD Superpower if you have the disruptive in class note that you got when you were a kid as well. You know, disruptive in class, back then it just meant everyone told me, shut up, sit down, you know, listen, be more attentive. But it wasn't necessarily the case. And we learn that. And as we get older, we realize, you know, sometimes we just can't do that. You have to accept your brain works differently, right? Everyone's brain works a little differently. You have to adjust for that, and I'll show you what I do to do that. Because if you do adjust for it, and you do realize that your brain works differently, and you adjust on that, you can be amazing. The countermeasures that I use, I like to believe help. And I'm not going to say they make me amazing, because that sounds pretty pompous, but they do help. And if you look here, I equate it to like, you know, if you have a sports car, right? You keep it in regular mode or econ mode, and it drives, whatever. If you know how to use it, and you know what you're doing with it, and you switch it to sport mode, you can have a lot of fun with that car. And it will handle really well and go really fast. Our brains, when you have ADHD, ADD, our brains essentially have two switches, off and 500% on. That is all I know. I know off and I know 500% on. I don't have a middle ground. I don't have the ability to slightly calm down. So I have to learn to give myself that ability. And you will be amazed if you sit down and talk to kids, talk to adults about that. A lot of them say the exact same thing. It's not that I don't want to listen to you. It's not that I don't want to pay attention. I find my brain going off in different places. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there are tricks to bring it back. So here are my non-negotiable life rules. Okay, these are things that I try to force myself to do every single day because I know that if I don't do them, I will have a bad day. If I don't do them, I will lose business. If I don't do them, I will get people angry at me. I will piss off my wife. I will piss off my family. I will piss off my friends. There are a lot of people who have told me very specific things I do to anger them, and I could trace it exactly back to the things that I didn't do on this list. So I want to run through them and explain them. The most important one, hands down, more than anyone else, is the removal of choice whenever possible. What does that mean? Well, when you have a choice, all right, let's take my clothing, for example. If you've ever met me or seen me speak or whatever, if I'm on a regular day and I'm not speaking and I'm just in the office hanging out, t-shirt or long sleeve t-shirt, jeans, shoes. If I'm speaking, button-down shirt, jacket, jeans, shoes. If I am, if it's any of the above, or if I'm home or whatever, jeans, t-shirt. So I have two outfits, two different types of outfits, jeans and t-shirt, or button-down shirt, jacket, and a t-shirt. That is me. Now, does that mean I don't have any style? No, I have tons of style. And I own several beautiful suits, you know, gorgeous suits that I wear on like the high holidays and weddings and things like that. But my daily, what I wear on a daily basis, t-shirt, jeans, shoes, or if I'm going on TV or speaking, button-down shirt, jacket, shoes. Why? Because I get to avoid having to think about what matters to me. I get to avoid having to think about things that I can just dismiss. I don't care about what shirt I should wear, what, you know, whatever. I am able to ignore the majority of things that I wear in favor of ease. If I can focus on putting on this shirt, this pair of pants, and these shoes the same time every day, I get to focus on other things that matter more to me. Because also, if I start going through my closet, and we all know we do this, if I start going through my closet, I start looking, oh, this shirt, oh my God, I totally remember where I got that t-shirt. I got that t-shirt when I did that event that day. I should totally look at the photos from that event. That event was pretty cool, and blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, it's 3 hours later, I'm still not dressed, and I haven't done anything all day. That is what we need to make sure we can avoid. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to avoid choice to allow us to focus on that which matters. Now, I avoid choice for other things as well, okay? It's a question of whatever it is in your day, little things you can do. You know, if you've ever heard of intermittent fasting, so intermittent fasting basically means you eat from a certain point to a certain point during the day, okay? So for me, I try to eat from 2 p.m. to like 8 or 9, 10 p.m. every day. So what does that mean? That means that when I'm walking to work in the morning, if I'm a little hungry, the choice of getting like 2 bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll, which is fattening, and I know it's fattening and it's not healthy, that choice is eliminated because I don't start eating until 2 p.m. So the key is, how can you make choices gone? How can you eliminate choices in your life? Ask yourself, everything you do during the day, what can you eliminate? Let me give you an example. There are 44 different types of Cheerios out there, 44 different types of Cheerios, which is just a ridiculous amount of Cheerios. So can you get rid of that choice? How do I do it? I eat regular Cheerios, and I buy regular Cheerios, and I go on a Fresh Direct or Google Shopping or Amazon or whatever, and I buy the same thing week in, week out. I don't have to think about it. Eliminate choice. So Jennifer Burns just said, try being a woman and choosing an outfit. I disagree. You can buy 7 or 8 different things that are very similar, and they all mix and match, so you don't have to think about it. Goal orientation, next step, getting X to Y to Z. I do this to do that to get there. Anything I try to do is based on the principle that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. How can I most quickly and effectively do one thing to another thing? Okay, and because I'm doing that, if I come up with the shortest line, I then follow through on that, and it usually eliminates distraction. True sleep, I cannot stress true sleep enough. I used to be one of those guys, oh, 3 hours a night, I'm fine, I'll suck on sugar cubes and drink Diet Pepsi. I mean, I still drink Diet Pepsi, but I have become such a big believer in 7 to 8 hours a night. It is mind-blowing. I go to bed early, and I get up early. After my daughter goes to bed around 8, I'm usually in bed by like 9, 9:15, and I may read for a little bit or whatever, but I go to sleep because the basic premise is that I like to get up super early because then I have free time, I can do stuff. If you don't get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, there are studies out there that show that ADHD is actually magnified and made a lot worse if you're not getting the proper amount of sleep. I encourage you to strongly have a night before plan. This is a no-brainer for me. If I know, okay, I have an 8 a.m. meeting, let's work backwards. 8 a.m. means I have to leave the house at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. means I have to be ready to leave the house at 6:45 a.m. 6:45 a.m. means I should have everything together that I want to take at the door the night before, and I work backwards until I'm at the point where I'm about to go to bed. And so when I wake up in the morning, I just forward the process, and we're done. It's the same reason that when I work out, I sleep in my workout clothes, okay, which is probably one of the best tips I can give you. If you're getting up super early in the morning and working out super early in the morning, sleep in your workout clothes. Wake up in the morning, put your feet on the floor, right into your shoes, brush your teeth, you're out the door. That saves you so much planning because think about it, if you're already in your shoes, that eliminates the, oh, well, you know, I'd have to get up and find what to wear and then go to the gym, and next thing you know, you've been snoozing for 2 hours. Sleep in your workout clothes. That's the night before plan. Again, I touched on early to bed, early to rise. Working out and eating right, look, I'm not going to preach. I hate that. I am not the best person at working out and eating right. I try my best, but, you know, look, we all have fallacies and problems. Mine is that I love pizza, and I love food that's bad for me. I work really hard on trying to understand what the benefit is, and I also have started doing something new in the past several months. I start writing down, if I eat, like some people have a slice of pizza, they say I'm going to have some pizza, and they have a slice of pizza. When I say I'm going to have some pizza, I have a pizza, as in like all 8 slices. That's just how my brain works. So you know what I've started doing? I've started writing down over the past several months how I feel when I'm full. That logy sort of, oh my God, I want to puke, I hate the world, I have no energy, I just need to take a nap feeling, I write it down. And when I have a craving, sometimes I'll look at it and I'll reread. I'm like, dude, is it really worth? You're just hungry. If you ate a salad, if you ate some really healthy and good for you salad, you wouldn't have that feeling anymore. You know, do you really want to have that feeling back? Because your brain, especially for people with ADD, we're thinking about, oh, you know, quick term reward, pizza, ooh, good. We don't think 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour, 2 hours after. Our brain doesn't work like that. So if I write the things down that I know are going to happen and I reread them, that allows me to prevent myself sometimes from doing it. So I encourage that. You know, drinking is a couple people posting. Drinking is a question that you have to answer yourself. I know that when I drink, I become a different person. There's a joke that says I don't drink a lot, but when I have one drink, I become a person who drinks a lot. And so I am very, very focused on not drinking a lot. And by a lot, I mean I'm trying not to drink almost at all. I'm very, very aware of that and very, very aware of how I take care of myself. I just know that it is better for me when I'm not drinking. So I offer that to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I know that works better for me. And I've seen things that happen. Again, removal of choice. Do you want to have, hey, Peter, you want to go out for a couple of drinks? If I say no in my head, if I'm not drinking, I say no. I know that I'll go home. I'll get the sleep I want. I'll be better the next day. It's worth it. Finally, what's important to me also is clean environment. I cannot work in a dirty office. I hate my apartment when it's messy. I try really, really hard to keep stuff clean. I fail sometimes, but I try super hard because here's what happens. I'm at my desk. I'm typing something. Okay, we got to do this project. Oh, I should probably put that away. Okay, oh, look at what's in here. Let's take a look. 3 hours later, I haven't done the project. If you keep your workspace or your home or whatever, it is clean, you're avoiding the distractions that come with that. Then finally, adaptability, understanding that it's not always going to work all the time. Okay, things aren't always going to be perfect, and you have to adapt. So those are my non-negotiable life rules. I use them, and they do help. They really do help. So next step, part 2, triggers and danger zones. So the biggest danger zone for me, and one of the biggest triggers, is when I have a project to do and I'm not assigned a deadline. Okay, when you're not assigned a deadline and you have ADHD, that means you can do it whenever the hell you want. And guess what? Soon isn't real. Okay, if you ask me to do something, hey Peter, can you, those pictures you shot of me last week, can I get them soon? I'd love to use them. Sure, not a problem. Soon becomes after I take care of everything else. And let's face it, we're never going to be done taking care of everything else. So soon is not an actuality. Soon is bullshit. Soon does not exist. Have a deadline for everything you do. Every single thing you do, have a deadline. If you don't have a deadline, it simply won't get done. Put it on a calendar, put it on a date, lock it in stone. And tell the person who wants it, whatever you're trying to do, I will get it. If you have a boss who says, yeah, just get me whenever, tell your boss, hey, look, it's better if you give me a deadline for it. Okay, even if you don't need a deadline, just give me a deadline because it's in my brain, in my head, oh, it's due Thursday. I have to do it before Thursday. That's an actuality. People with ADHD need actualities. Okay, actualities help us tremendously. So soon is not an actuality. Lack of sleep. I find if I go a couple of days without lack of sleep, I start to feel cranky. The crankiness leads itself to my wanting to do other things, finding ways to increase my dopamine. All of a sudden, I'm not doing well. Lack of preparedness is the same thing. I try so hard to walk into every meeting knowing what I'm talking about, knowing what I'm doing. I try really hard to, when I speak, I know who my audience is. I plan these things out in reverse time. So if I'm giving a speech next Tuesday, I will make sure that by the previous Thursday, I know who my audience is, I know what I'm talking about. And it's difficult for people with ADHD because we're actually really good at making stuff up on the spot. We're really good at going into, I can go into a speech and I can talk for an hour about anything and I will sound good and you will know I sound good. The problem is though, if I'm not truly focused on what I'm talking about or not truly doing what I want to do, okay, the issue then becomes that it's not personalized. And if I'm not personalized, people start to notice that. So I force myself to not rely on my ability to make things up on the spot, but rather go backwards in time and come up with a calendar that lets me say, okay, on this date, I'm going to learn about my audience. On this date, I'm going to learn about the company I'm talking to. On this date, blah, 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 until I'm at the speech ready to go. The concept of no safe place is a strange one too. Always have a safe place for yourself. A safe place can be whatever it is where you feel the most comfortable. It could be your office where you can close the door. It could be your bedroom. It could be a dark corner where you get to sit and meditate. I mean, for me, honestly, it's also an airplane. Okay, my safe place is an airplane. As long as I know I have a trip coming up the next few days where I'll be able to sit on that plane and get work done, I'm okay. I feel good. 48 hours without some kind of workout is detrimental. You know, you gotta recharge the brain. You gotta pump it up, things like that. You know, at least if nothing else, walk around the block a few times. If you drive to work and you drive home and that's all you do, you know, park at the last possible parking spot. Something to kick up the chemistry in your brain. Have a defined plan for almost everything you do. I try to have a defined plan for my entire day. Before I go to sleep, I look at my calendar and I visualize, okay, I have this meeting at 8 a.m., I have this meeting at 9 a.m. How am I going to get from here to here, from here to here? And I plot it out. Am I taking the subway? Am I taking an Uber? Okay, once I land at this place, how am I getting to the conference? Once I get to the conference, what am I doing for dinner? That's another key thing. If we don't have a plan, something will sneak up on us and it'll be 7:30 p.m. or 8 o'clock at night and we haven't eaten. So what happens when we're on the road? We wind up going and eating crappy food. Have a plan. Define everything you do, have a plan. And of course, things come up as they come up. So I encourage you to work on that and find your own rules as well, and triggers and danger zones, and find ways to ignore them, and, or beat them, I should say. Part 3, strategies for success. This is my business strategies. They work for me. I think for some of you as well. Arrive before anyone else. Okay, so I cannot, guys, if you don't get up early, I know some people are not morning people. I get it, but what happens when you start to wake up early and arrive at places early and do things early, it's a game changer. You get into the office and you're not stressed and you're not worried. For me, I get in this office 7:30 in the morning. I have like 2 hours to work before I hear anyone in the building, okay? And it's all on my own. The defined plan allows me to get to the office and, okay, I'm going to answer this, and this. I'll blow through 100 emails and I'll get them done. So your goal is to arrive before anyone else. Just wake up a little bit early. This next one, meetings 1 day a week only. This is a killer, and this is amazing for me. This is a game changer. So, sorry, I should get some water. So a lot of people want to meet with me. They want to talk with me. Fine. I will take as many meetings as I can in one entire day. Okay, so I'll block 1 day off where I know all I'm doing is meetings. And because of that, I don't feel crazy. I'm not like, oh my God, I haven't answered an email. Oh my God, I haven't done other things. Because that day is defined as meetings. And so I don't get upset when it's like 3 p.m. and I haven't been in the office yet to do anything else. If you can set up your schedule in such a way that you can do 1 day a week meetings and 1 day a week calls, whatever it is, figure that out. Even if you have to do more than once a day, make it more than once a week, make it at the same time, right? So you have, okay, from 12 to 1, I return phone calls, and that's it. Otherwise, my phone is off, whatever it is. But do that so you're not sitting there worrying about the things you're not doing. And, there are people who say, oh, well, shut off email and Facebook your entire day. I say that's BS. But designate breaks. Turn off all the pop-ups that pop up every time you get a Facebook notification or an email from Outlook or whatever it is. Turn those off, because the second you see those, oh my God, I can't think about anything else. I have to go look at my email, and nothing gets done. So focus on turning those off. Check your email once an hour, okay? Everything syncs always. I cannot tell you what the beauty of the cloud has done for my life. Everything I save is saved in multiple clouds all around the world, so no matter what device I'm on, no matter where I am in the world, no matter what I'm working on, I can continue to do what I do. That allows me to never have downtime if I don't want it. So if my plane's delayed, I have an hour, oh, well, I can't work on that project because it's on the home server. No, it's in the cloud. The cloud is a gift for people with ADHD because it keeps us so focused and allows us to pick up right where we left off every single time. If you're not already in the cloud, get in the cloud. Short burst downtime, I came up with this concept about 10 years ago. It works. We all know what long burst downtime is. Okay, I have 14 hours on a plane. I'm going to write that proposal. That's long burst downtime. We plan for that. Short burst downtime is the things that we're not planning for. 5-minute delay waiting to go to the bank. Our office has a fire drill and we can't get in the elevator for 15 minutes. Flight delay. Whatever it is, short burst downtime is 5 minutes here, 7 minutes here, 10 minutes here, where you are allowed to get stuff. You can turn on your phone, turn on your computer, turn on whatever, and get stuff done. And people say, oh, how do you have so much time to answer emails and do all that stuff? Because I use that short burst downtime over the course of the day to do the things that otherwise I wouldn't have time to do. And guys, this is a key. I think we're at a point in 2015 where if you tell people, and especially because I just got a text from someone, or I'm looking at a tweet right now from someone who says, I'm afraid to publicly use the hashtag ADHD Superpower for fears I'll be branded as a business liability. Let me tell you something. I'm pretty much living proof that there is no liability at having ADHD as long as you know how to manage it. And so I have absolutely no problem explaining to people, whether it's people I work with, whether it's people who have hired me, bosses, whatever the case. I'll explain, guys, look, I work a little differently. I have ADHD. Here's the things I do to make it benefit me, and here's the few things. So if it looks like I'm doing little weird things, looks like I'm being a little strange, well, it's because of this, okay? And as soon as they get that, they're like, wow, he really has a handle on things, okay? So explain it. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, this is who I am, and this is why I do some of the things I do. We'll talk about that in the personal section as well. And also, I do explain this because I am the guy who I will not take a meeting. Before I start any meeting, I drop and I do 20 push-ups or sit-ups or jumping jacks every single meeting because it allows me it resets my brain. It gives me a little bit of dopamine, a little bit of serotonin, just something as simple as 20 jumping jacks. And yes, I've been caught by the people I'm meeting with, and yes, I've been caught by building security, which is always a lot of fun. But you know what? It benefits me. When I walk into that meeting, I'm refreshed, I can focus, and I'm better at what I do and better for the people I'm meeting with. So finally, assistant or tools. I'm not saying everyone should go get an assistant, but I have been blessed with having phenomenal assistants in my life, and they keep me on track. If you can't afford an assistant, you can get tools, and we're going to share tools in the last slide. But have someone who's great at the things that you suck at. I cannot stress that is the #1 thing you want to find when you're looking for an assistant or you're looking for tools. Find things or people that are great at the things you suck at. Because, for instance, I am not good at my calendar. And if it were up to me, I would have like 57 meetings and they'd be on 14 continents over the course of an hour. So I let someone else take care of that, okay? And if someone says, hey, Peter, can we meet? I've trained myself to go, no, but I'll CC Jamie, my assistant. I'll say, hey, you know, tell me if I can meet you. Tell me if I can meet this person. If she says yes, I'm good to go. So live by that. There's no stigma in doing that. So let's look at what success comes from. Success comes from doing what you love every day. Okay, very tweetable quote there. Success comes from doing what you love every day. Because if you're doing what you love, okay, then you're going to keep getting better at it and keep getting better at it and keep getting better at it. And I didn't realize at the time, as I put here, but I went out on my own. When I first started in '98 and incorporated my first company with no money, I did it as a way of self-medication because I was working in jobs where I was sitting in an office. I was miserable. I didn't last more than 4 weeks. And so I realized I am going to try to go out on my own. And what I didn't know at the time was I was self-medicating. And it was the best thing I ever did. A desk job, I never would have survived. Every time I get off stage, I guarantee you when I get off this call, I'm going to be so wired and so jazzed. That's the dopamine, that's the serotonin, that's the things that our bodies don't produce enough of when we have ADHD. So success comes from that. It comes from doing the things you love every single day and loving what you do. So take 20 seconds, stand up and breathe. This is called the dopamine break. Big breaths, big breaths. Okay. Do you feel that? Do you feel that where your head gets tingling and things like that for that deep breath? That's the brain's that's your brain's using chemistry to do the right thing. So let's look at the next. Let's look at the next slide. There we go. So strategies for personal success. So this is, I've struggled probably the most with personal more than professional, I'll be honest. What I've learned works for me is there's a big difference between an explanation and an excuse. So I don't say, when I get yelled at for not doing something, when my parents or my kid or my wife, whatever, I don't get yelled at, and I get yelled at for not doing something or forgetting something. I don't say, oh, it must have been my ADHD. I go, okay, you know what? I understand that happened, and I understand that it's frustrating to you. I am of the belief that it was probably caused because I didn't do X, Y, Z that I try to live by every day, and that led to this happening. So in the future, I'm going to work on doing that again. But you have to understand sometimes that, you know, as much as I try, sometimes my brain still doesn't work that well. Now, I'm not using that. I don't use it all the time, obviously. That's not for every single thing. You know, it's for things that I try really hard to, because we could have every single intention. Guys, understand this, and this is huge, especially if you don't have ADHD. Listen to me when I say this. Our goal could be 100%, 1 billion% to make sure that we do that thing that you wanted us to do, and we know that it's going to make you happy, and we are excited to do it for you, and we want to get it done, and we know you're going to be thrilled once it's done, and then we will forget to do it. That doesn't mean that we don't care. It doesn't mean that we hate you. It doesn't mean that we're being abusive. It doesn't mean that we are going out of our way to hurt you, and most importantly, it doesn't mean that you're not important to us. It means that sometimes, no matter how hard we try, we will forget. I'm not excusing it. I'm trying to offer the reason that it happens, and hopefully we keep improving it. Every single time we do it, we hope it happens a little bit less. So to get there, when I walk into the door, when I walk home and get to my door every day, I stop, I do 10 deep breaths before I put my key in the door. 10 long, deep breaths. That sort of center me, calm me down, give me a little hit of adrenaline, dopamine, things like that. And I am trying to focus on changing from the work side to the personal side. And so I don't walk in as hyper as I always am in the office. I walk in a little calmer, and I listen a little bit more. So take those deep breaths and focus on listening. When you're listening, focus on your breathing. If you're focusing on taking solid breaths, in, out, if you're arguing, that calms you down. If you're having an argument, because look, let's face it, when you're ADHD, you have one goal in your life, and I mentioned this later in the session as well, but when you're ADHD, your goal is very simply this. If you're in an argument, you want to be heard. And if you can't be heard the way you're talking, you'll raise your voice and you'll start screaming. And if you start screaming and people are still not listening to you, you'll just scream louder, and it doesn't work. And it's taken me years and several failed relationships to learn that. And I'm trying my damnedest to learn that. And if someone doesn't listen to me, what all I see is, oh my God, I have to get this, I have to get them to understand this, and they're not paying attention, and I have to make sure they do. And I've learned years after years that that's the wrong way to do it. And so I started focusing on my breathing, and I will say something, and I will make sure to stop and take a deep breath and wait to see if there's a response. And it keeps my voice relatively calm, and it allows the conversation to continue as opposed to my just screaming and them just screaming and then nothing getting absolved. And here's the key. It's not going to work all the time. Okay, so you try it every single time and you try to get a little bit better every single time, but focus on your breathing. Have an argument safe word. I have one with my family, I have one with my assistant, I have one with my wife. The concept being that if you realize that you're starting to bubble over and you're starting to shout and you're starting to make sure you do, banana, or whatever your word is, say that word, walk away. That word gives you permission to leave the argument, to walk out of the home, to walk out of the house, to walk out of the apartment if you need to take deep breaths, to go to the gym, to do whatever you need to do to come back down. There's no, once you've reached that point, there's no point continuing the conversation because nothing good will ever come out of it. Focus on that. Talk to be heard by the listener. You want to make sure that the listener understands what you're saying. You can't just scream out, oh, well, I can't believe you didn't understand this. Focus on figuring out exactly why they're angry, why they're upset, what they want you to do differently, and see what you can do to truly give them the answers that they're looking for. An example would be like, you were supposed to pick up the dry cleaning and you didn't. It's not just, yeah, I know, I'm a butthead. That's not an answer. You know what? I was and I didn't do it, so I'm either going to go out and get it right now, or I'm going to make sure that I do it first thing. Listen to be heard. Listen to listen and talk to be heard, so that you say something that they truly understand. This one's a huge thing for me. I keep toys. I keep anything from pens to poker chips to hand exercises, whatever, anything on my desk or in my apartment or wherever that I can play with. Just the simple act of touching something and holding something or squeezing something or whatever allows me to remember to stay a little calmer. During a conversation, a personal conversation, repeat back and take notes. It sounds crazy, but I cannot tell you how many notebooks on Evernote I have that are conversations that I've had, personal conversations that allow me to really understand what they're saying and read them back. I read them back to myself when I'm not crazy or upset or whatever, and I try to learn a little more and understand a little more about what the person was saying. And then finally, be present. So if you're going to have a conversation, set time for a conversation and shut off the devices so that you're physically truly there. Because for us, there's nothing worse than trying to have a conversation and trying to be heard and trying to make a valid point, but your phone is buzzing, and oh my God, I should probably answer that. And hey, have you ever had watermelon? Oh, look, the cat. You need to be as present as humanly possible. And for that, for me, that's no devices. Sometimes I'll even close my shades because I live on a super high floor and there's always like a helicopter or something where you'd be like, ooh, shiny. So your goal is to avoid that. So do whatever you can to be as present as possible in the personal world. This is what I mentioned earlier. The worst thing for someone with ADD or ADHD is to feel like he or she isn't being heard. Because think about it, when we're trying to explain something to you, we're so excited about it, we're so passionate about it, we're so whatever, we got to make sure you hear it because we want it to be as cool to you or as logical to you or as understandable to you as it is to us. And if we're talking to you the wrong way, or if we're yelling, or if we're whatever, and you start shutting down, or you start not listening, or you start focusing on something else, we don't feel like we're being heard. And if we're not being heard, we can't confirm to ourselves that we were heard and dump it and move on to the next thing, which is how our brains work. So as an ADHD person, we have to focus on speaking so that we are heard. And if you love someone with ADHD or work with someone with ADHD, you have to focus on how you can hear them better so they understand and they believe that you listened and actually heard and digested and understood what they said. So let's talk about the tools. I know this is a huge thing for everyone. These are the tools, and there are a lot more, but these are the tools I use to run my life. And I use them all on a regular basis, and I'll explain why and how and what they are. Hands down, the #1 tool, I have been giving shouts to these guys for 5 years. I hope they never go out of business, because if they do, I'm so screwed. It's a simple little website called followupthen.com. all right? And they don't, by the way, I make no money. I have no personal connection to anyone on this list except for Scotty Vest on the bottom, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I have no connection to them. I don't make any money for talking about these things. These are just the things that work for me. FollowUpThen.com is just an incredibly simple idea. You send an email to any time frame. So 4 days at followupthen.com, 1 minute at followupthen.com, next Thursday at followupthen.com, January at followupthen.com, and it will send you back the email you sent to it on that specific date or time. And you say, oh, well, why don't you just put it in your calendar? Because a calendar for me is not interruptive. Email is interruptive. When I see it in my email, I will act on it. Okay, so what I do is if you ever email me and say, hey, Peter, I have an idea about something, I want to get back to you in a week, I will reply to you and I'll say, sure, that sounds great, and I will BCC 1 week at followupthen.com. A week later, it pops back up in my inbox, and I'm reminded, hey, call Mark and ask him about that thing we were supposed to do. It is hands down the #1 most wonderful device most wonderful site, most wonderful idea I have ever found in my life. Followupthen.com. I cannot tell you how amazing it is. I use Tile. Tile is essentially, it's a little thing that you stick on things or put on your keychain or whatever, and if you lose something and they're in your house somewhere, remote controls, whatever, you simply go to your smartphone and you find them, they beep. Why is that important? Why not just, you know, spend 10 minutes and look for them? Because if I guarantee you guys, if I spent 10 minutes and looked for something, A, I would never find it, but B, I would find 400 other things in my apartment or my office or wherever I was that would seem interesting, and it would be 44 hours later and I still would not have found the original thing I was looking for because I would have been distracted a million times. So for me, Tile is amazing. So Omm Writer, OMM Writer, is a wonderful app for the Mac. I don't know if it's available for PC, but I love it on the Mac. It's essentially a word processor that does two things. It goes full screen and plays very calming music with a lovely snow scene in the background. But secondly, it shuts down all your other alerts and anything else that could be coming in from your computer. So that if you are in front of your computer and you're trying to write something with no interruptions, put on your headphones, turn on the Omm Writer, and it shuts down the rest of your computer so you can't get notifications, you can't get pop-ups, and it plays calming music, and it just lets you be one with your writing. Can't recommend enough. I use Siri or OK Google or Alexa for almost everything in my life. So anything as simple as I put something in the oven, and it's for 40 minutes. Okay, hey Alexa, set an alarm in 40 minutes. Oh Siri, remind me in 40 minutes. Okay Google, remind me in 40 minutes. Alexa's Amazon's toy. It sits on my counter. It's a wonderful little thing that plays music and tells me computations and how the weather is. But you could use Siri or OK Google. Get used to asking it questions. They're all smarter tools than you think they are. Much, much smarter tools than you think they are. They can do a lot. IFTTT is a great one as well. IFTTT stands for if this, then that. It allows you to set up automatic recipes. So when certain things happen, you'll get notifications. So anytime I get tagged in a photo on Facebook, it copies the photo and puts it in my Dropbox, so I can be reminded to look at it later. Anytime I get an attachment in Gmail, it'll store it in a separate place. Thousands of different things this thing does. It's a great way to find out to not have to worry about missing out on things. It takes care of a lot of things that you normally have to do and forget to do. Try to get to your happy place twice a week. Okay, for me it's an airplane. I try as hard as I can to be on a plane at least twice a week, but I mean I do that for a living. It doesn't have to be an airplane. It could be wherever your happy place and better is for you to be better. Have a mirror bag. A mirror bag is simply a bag of your most used possessions. If you travel, it's basically a duplicate suitcase. If you go to the office, it's essentially a duplicate bag that once a month you copy all the stuff that's in your current bag and put it there. That way, if you ever lose it, you don't have to spend the next 24 hours afraid that all your stuff is lost. You have a duplicate, and you can then go to work methodically getting stuff back. Have a pocket for everything. So full disclosure, I'm on the advisory board of this company, so I'm not saying use them. There are tons of companies that do this, but I love and live and die on my Scott eVest. It's the website is scottevest.com, and it's basically it has clothing that has hundreds of pockets, a lot of pockets anyway. And I know exactly which pocket my passport is always in. I know exactly which pocket my keys are always in. I know exactly which pocket my ticket is, whatever it is. And what that allows me to do is not have to worry about it. And then finally, document everything you do, whether it's something as simple as making a note on Siri or keeping a real journal with a pen and paper. Document everything you do because it keeps your life going. And it lets you get through that. So those are the tools I use pretty much on a daily basis. And I cannot stress them enough. So I think we got 2 more slides, and then we get time for questions. So continuing the comment of tools. So check in everywhere, whether it's checking on Facebook, not publicly, or wherever you're checking in. Make sure that you're posting so you know what you're doing, and then you can figure out, hey, I had a great day today. What did I do differently? And then you know, and then you can repeat that, and you can do that day again. If you're healthy at all, I cannot tell you how important data is for people with ADHD, because data allows us to be better. Data makes us be better because we can look at something and say, hey, here's what I did, X to Y equals Z, and I know it works. And so when you get that data, you can follow it through. For me, I live on Runkeeper, Apple Health, Google's the same thing, and then MyFitnessPal. So I journal what I eat, I document all my workouts, and then everything tracks with a service called YThings. YThings is my scale. My scale connects to all these things, so I know where I am in my world. Hey, you know what? I should probably get a little healthier this week, or I should probably do whatever. Okay, I've been doing great. I can wear these jeans. You want to be able to have that data. God, everyone lies. Men lie, women lie, everyone lies. You know who doesn't lie? Data doesn't lie. Trust in your data. It will make your life better. There's a great app that recently broke on the iPhone, so I have to see if it's been replaced, but I think it's called Eat Slower. And essentially, when you go out to dinner, you turn it on, and every 2 minutes, it buzzes. And that's when you can take another bite of food. Because for someone like me, everyone asks if I have brothers or sisters, and I'm an only child, but everyone asks if I have brothers or sisters, because when I go out to dinner, I've literally finished my main course while other main courses are still being put down. It's a horrible thing. I hate doing it, but I do, because I do everything fast. Eat Slower lets me, tells me, okay, eat now, and it helps me focus. Quit Now. If you've ever had something you wanted to quit, smoking, alcohol, whatever, Quit Now is just simply a data. It's a little app that sits in front of you and says, hey, you know what? It's been X number of days since you've done this. And for me, the ADD in me doesn't want to have to go in and go through the 14 steps to reset the damn date if I screw up. And I'll be honest with you, I used to bum cigarettes. I used to bum cigarettes from people when I was at parties, when I was at events, or when I was drinking and things like that. It has been 237 days since I've had a cigarette. 237 days since I've had a cigarette, and I attribute that all to sheer willpower and to the Quit Now app, because the Quit Now app has prevented me from bumming a cigarette. I have not had a cigarette since March 17th, 2015, swear to God. And I look at that every day, and I can't imagine going back to zero on that. I'd be so upset with myself. So every day I check in, and it keeps me going. And then finally, the usuals: LastPass, Evernote, 1Password, Dropbox, Drive, all the things that are designed to utilize for the cloud. It will make your life easier. Your goal is to eliminate steps. When you're ADHD, a lot of steps are, every single step is an opportunity to get distracted. Eliminate the steps, you don't get as distracted. Finally, the daily goal. This is your daily goal. Every day, strive to create and maintain habits that allow you to eliminate worry and concern over that which is in your control. So if you're concerned about, eating too much, there are tools and apps that you can use to prevent you from doing that, so you can focus on other things. If you spend too much time in the mirror every morning or at the closet, design your life around having a certain number of articles of clothing that everything matches with everything. If you're afraid that you're going to do whatever, don't let yourself do whatever by taking out the choice. So those daily habits, fact of the matter is that resolutions, because we're coming up on the new year, resolutions fail, habits succeed. Okay, start creating habits today. Here's a tip: if you want to lose some weight in the new year, start working out at the gym December 1. Not only will you get better discounts if you join the gym, but come January 1, you'll be a few pounds down, a little stronger, a little faster, whatever it is, and you'll look at all the people who are just starting January 1, and you'll smugly think to yourself, wow, look at how good I'm doing, because I started 31 days ago. I don't want to quit this now, and that will eliminate the sort of the resolutioners aspect where you go for a week and then you quit. Start December 1. Start today. Start tomorrow. That's your daily goal. Finally, here's how to get me. My address, my life. I am at Peter Shankman on all of the socials, as you know. That's my Google Voice number, and that's my Skype name. I am always up for a couple minutes of talking. We'll find a time on the day that I have meetings, things like that. And then that is how so that's how to get me. Just remember, at Peter Shankman, you can always find me. And then lastly, and I want to take a couple questions for Twitter, but the last slide, I searched really hard to find it. It was taken to me. I was at the New York Stock Exchange several years ago watching the president of the stock exchange give a talk, and I'm standing with about 7 or 8 people, and they're all intently focused on this, the head of the stock exchange giving a talk. See if you can spot which one I am. So, guys, that's what we deal with ADD. We are We are the person who's constantly, I should really pay attention to this CEO, but oh, squirrel, that's something shiny. Have you ever been to the stock exchange? The entire building is shiny, okay? So no matter how hard we try, sometimes we're just gonna be caught in a picture looking somewhere else because something shiny caught our attention. I hope this was useful, guys. I really wanna thank you for joining. I wanna see if I can take a couple of questions from Twitter. I'm just looking at a lot of quotes here. Let's see. Well, you know, a lot of people are quoting and not so much asking questions. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to tweet them right now. If you, oh, you got a few? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, you were putting them in the chat. Even though I told you guys not to put them in the chat, you're all putting them in the chat. All right, so let's see. How can we get a copy of your slides? I'll make sure that happens. If you fall off the habit bandwagon, get back on. It happens. Get back on and just start again. Set yourself a date and start again. I will put this presentation on Pressy or one of those sites. I'll tweet out when I do. Follow me at Peter Shankman. So you can get a copy of the slide deck, most definitely. What else? More questions. Let's see. How do you deal with all the international travel? Oh, actually, great question. How do I deal with international travel? Here's how I deal with international travel. When I get on the plane, from the second I get on the plane until the second I get home, I don't eat. I drink as much water as possible. I don't eat. When I get home, I have a big meal, or I have a small, like little tiny workout first, then a big meal, and that puts me right to sleep because that starts up your digestion again. That uses energy, usually puts myself right to sleep. Setting deadlines is one thing. How do you make yourself actually stick to the deadline? Best thing I could do, I know that if I miss the deadline, something's going to go negative in my life. I won't make the money. I won't do whatever. And then, so for me, it's all about here's who I want to be in the rest of my life. Here's how I want to make things work. Also, I have an accountability group that we have calls every week. And that accountability group, we say to ourselves, here's what we're doing, and here's what we're going to do next week. And that allows us to know it. Just got a couple of interesting questions here that I want to share. Lisa Jacobs-Brown asked on Twitter, the best advice to your 10-year-old self. And then someone else, Claire Kumar, asked the best advice to my 14-year-old self. God, yeah, I wish that I could say this one thing. Here's the advice. If you guys are listening and you have kids and things like that, hear me when I say this. If they're anything like me, they're going to come home and they're going to be crying their eyes out and they're going to be miserable. I cannot imagine the hell I put my parents through. I came home every day in junior high crying my eyes out. I'm different. No one likes me. I have no friends. I can't get the simplest concepts in math every day. I can't imagine what my parents went through. And if knowing what I know now about ADHD, what I would simply say is this. I would look at the kid and I'd say, you have a brain that works differently. Your brain is much, much faster than everyone else's, and that's a great thing. That's a great thing. We just need to learn how to better utilize it. Your brain can do all the work that all your friends do and 1,000 times more. It just works a little differently. So we're going to learn how to use it differently and be better than everyone else. Because at the end of the day, there is no shame in having ADHD, and it's not a life-threatening, oh my God, it's going to kill us. As long as you know and admit that you have it, understand that you have it, and understand how to make it work for you. I can't tell you the benefits of making your ADHD work for you. So with that, last question people said, is there a book I recommend? Anything by Edward Halliwell. Dr. Halliwell wrote a book. The book where that first quote came from, the first slide, it's called Delivered from Distraction. Delivered from Distraction changed my life. So read Delivered from Distraction. I also tweet and post a lot about what I read and what I find. So if you're not following me, I strongly encourage you at Peter Shankman. I try to keep it fun. And we are approaching 2 o'clock, so we're going to end this, guys. Again, thank you so much for listening. I will post the presentation. Just follow me on Twitter and you'll get the link. And I really appreciate it. Most importantly, I really hope this was useful to you guys. I really hope this was valuable. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.